Go download my free legato course right now and learn to play fast in the fastest way possible. Hey, so how do you learn to do this? You know, you can learn licks, right? You can learn a lot of licks and you can learn all kinds of stuff. But how do you learn to actually close your eyes and then just, put it all together? That's an actual thing that we can practice. It's not something that will just appear once we've learned the licks and the scales and the tools and the everything. There's an actual process to it. And in this video, I'm going to give you the process. The only thing you need to do is use it. And I promise you the result will come. And the result will be this: the ability to use the tools that you're practicing, to use the techniques that you have been practicing, and then to be able to put those together into improvised solos. So what do we do? Well, first of all, you have to be willing to play around with stuff, right? That's really the genesis or the beginning of improvisation, is that you just look down on whatever it is that you have, your first position blues scale, and instead of thinking only in licks, you play around with the scale. You say, okay, what if I were to play only one note on each string? Well, that sounds weird, right? What if I were to play two notes on the first, and then one on the next, and then two on the... Right? Or what if I just try to play around with the scale, but instead of playing in the same old, up and down, because I've been practicing the scale, I'm gonna try and do some weird jumps. Right? You have to play around with it. And don't think about rhythm in the beginning. Just don't think about that it has to make sense musically. If you then throw in another tool like the diminished arpeggio, right? All you do is then say, I'm gonna take 3 or 4 notes from that arpeggio, and then I'm gonna play some blues scale notes. 3 notes from the arpeggio, 3 notes from the blues scale. That's just up the diminished and down the blues scale. Right, oh, that's just a couple of extra notes there. Or play down the diminished arpeggio, and then play a couple of blues scale notes. Right. And in that process of just fooling around basically with the tools, putting them together, you build that ability to improvise, because that's what you're doing. You're just coming up with stuff. But and what we think, what really keeps us from going into this process, is the idea that we should be able to play something that makes sense. And that music is more than just putting scales and arpeggios together, Claus. Well, in the beginning, it's not. In the beginning, it's simply just the ability or the willingness to just go, okay, I got my blues scale, and I got an E blues scale, and I got an E major 7th arpeggio. Right? As well. So let me play a couple of notes from the arpeggio, and then go into the blues scale, or into a lick that I know. Right? Or let me play it. You simply just piece stuff together. It's like a kit with Lego blocks, right? In the beginning, you don't know what you want to build. You just practice putting the freaking blocks together, and then something comes out of it sometimes that sound really cool. But the beginning is the willingness to just put it together. And we as adults rarely do stuff like that. We want to know what it is that we're doing, right? We want to follow a system, a proven system that works, or a practice method that leads us to a specific place. Well, this does, but you have to go a couple of steps back and drop the idea that whatever you're playing should be infused with soul and blah blah, right? So stop it. Just play, and the tools speak for themselves basically. Just okay, let me play down the E major 7th arpeggio. That's just, what is it? 5 notes, and then play 5 notes from the blues scale, up the blues scale, from whatever note I arrive at. That's not a blues scale note, so let me go down to the shape and then play 5 notes up. Okay. How is that not a blues lick that really works? Oh, I haven't played it before. Maybe Ben. Again? Right? I'm just playing around with the shapes. And that's what's cool about adding tools to the blues scale, is that when you use them, they just sound cool, just right off the bat, with no preparation, just by putting them in there. Right? So that is the technique, basically. But we overlook it because we're so focused on licks, right? And then you don't want to focus on the rhythm in the beginning. But that is the next level. Once you're very good, because you do it all the time, at just messing around with your... Right? Once you're very good at messing around with it because it's playtime every day, then you introduce rhythm, and that's the next level. Because now you can play around with stuff, right? But you can't really play a solo because it's just ideas like, right? And then you go, and you can introduce this rather quickly, but you first play around with the notes when it comes to the theory of this approach here, and you play around with them a lot until you can just Right? You can just run because you're running around all the tools and having fun with the diminished arpeggio and the major seventh arpeggio and whatever you throw in there. And then at some point you want to introduce rhythm, and you do that by taking your looper pedal and doing something like, right? And then you simply just. Then now you have to play around with this stuff, but you have to do it rhythmically, right? Oh, we're in the key of A now, so let me shift to that. Everything has to be ba da da boo da boo ba da 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 ba. And that's another challenge, but if you haven't played around with the notes and having that freedom of not having to think about the rhythm and making musical sense, but just, chromatic elements. Right? Once you add rhythm to that, then you make sense. But it all starts with the willingness to just go ahead and do it. And this is the process. It's very simple, but you hit your head against the wall at different points in this process, because you suddenly realize that, well, maybe I should have some sequences I could play around with, like, or, right? Maybe I should practice some sequences, then I can play around with those. Or, right? Or I should have some tools like arpeggio that I can combine, more Lego blocks, basically, right? And then when you get to the rhythm part, you suddenly find out that, hey, I can play very few rhythms. I can't go da 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 ba ba da bo da 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 do do ba da da gang gong ba da 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 da. I can't do that with my mouth, so how would I be able to do it with my hands? And then I need to practice some more in that department, right, of skills. But that is really the process here of playing around with what you've got and leaving rhythm out in the beginning, becoming very good at shuffling around whatever notes, sequences, scales you got, arpeggios, whatever tools you've been practicing and techniques, and then adding rhythm, and then, to see it all come together basically into that playful state of just having the music run in the background and then being able to just play around with stuff. That's basically what it is. So I'm just gonna have some more fun here. And if you want to learn more about this, go check out the Naked Truth of Blues right now on our webpage, on our homepage there. Where I'm going to reveal to you everything I do every time I play something. Like what tools I'm using, what rhythms and everything. There's a link just below this video. Subscribe for more free videos. Do it. Do it now. Do it.